You're listening to Growth in Progress, a Pixar-inspired short story by Kyle Livingston. There comes a time where one must make sacrifices, decisions, and hard choices to continue building a better world for not only themselves, but also those who matter. And really, who matters is, well, everyone. There are events that happen that shake up not just the lives of some people or groups, but events that can change the course of all mankind. The question is the goal to stop this change from happening, or to steer this change into a brand new way? The Bennett family will have to traverse this decision alongside many others in the attempts to not only save the world, but also change it for the better. Dion Bennett is a surgeon, proud father, and primary caretaker of his family, consisting of his beautiful and equally as talented in medicine wife Cora, as well as his 3 children. The rascal of a teenager Dex is energetic, quick-witted, and always making trouble for his big sister Sabrina. Sabrina is almost the exact opposite of her annoying younger brother. She's calm, quiet, and invisible to the rest of her teenage peers. She spends much time being the babysitter to the real head of the household, Max. Max is a miracle baby. After some years, it was found out that Max became ill more easily than most children, sneezing and running fevers every couple of weeks. But nonetheless, he has endured and learned to live a normal life. Every day consists of the average teenage routine to school, Max being handed over to a babysitter, and Dion and Cora taking the same car to work. Dion being a surgeon and Cora being a medical scientist, the family is more than capable of taking care of themselves and others. Cora researches diseases and how to cure them, and Dion takes her ideas and puts them into practice. They really are the best at what they do. While Dion has a usual break with the rest of the hands-on surgeons, he hears disturbing news. No way! Dion's best friend yells while reading the newspaper. Well, what is it? No. That bad? That's ridiculous. Well, sure, it isn't that bad right now, but when it spreads, you won't take all this for granted. Dion rolls his eyes and heads back to work. At home and in bed, Dion breaks the silence by saying, "This isn't really going to be all that serious, Cora." "I think this is one of those rare times when you're wrong." "Well, I think this is one of those rare times where you're being a little too worrisome. We have a wonderful family, great jobs, and everything is simply good." Little did he know, those would be some of the last words said in the time where this mysterious disease was only an afterthought. A mere 2 months later, everything changed. The hospitals were full and the disease was spreading like crazy. Dion is approached by his boss on a crazy day at work. "Go home," Fraser plainly puts it. "Go home? I can't just go home. I haven't missed a day in years. There could be patients who need me any day now." "What we need right now are scientists and doctors who look for symptoms. That just isn't what you do. For once you need to take a step back, think about your kids, especially Max, and stay home. Your kids are going to need you with them there anyways." "So you're telling me I have to just stay home with my children while my wife actually is helping? That just isn't me." "Dion, think of it as a challenge. We know you're good with patience. Think of your kids as the next people you're saving. They can't do it without you," Fraser adds as he ends the conversation. At home, in the same bed, the mood is flipped. "This is just crazy, saying I'm not needed right now? Are you kidding me? I can help this so much more than by staying at home," Dion says, fuming. "Well, maybe this is just a chance to show that I can help just as much as you. You can get closer to the kids and I can save the day. A little change of pace." "I know, and you're gonna be great. I just don't like that it's gonna not be us anymore. It's just gonna be you." Over the next couple of weeks, Dion tries to figure out the stay-at-home dad way of living. He struggles to keep up with Dex's energy, and he's too lackluster to adjust to his new online school life.
"Well, let's throw the baseball. I'll show you how far I can actually throw it now. My friends said they can throw it further than me, but they've never proved it, so in my eyes, they're wrong, and I'll always be better."
"Oh, slow your roll, kid. You aren't proving anything until this math equation gets solved." A back-and-forth battle continues between Dion and his hyper child, which ends abruptly by Max crying loudly. Sabrina rushes in, crying about her boyfriend and her breaking up over not being able to see each other with the new online school life. Dion instantly gets overwhelmed by being presented with 3 problems that, for the first time, he's not equipped to solve. At the hospital, Cora is present in a meeting with dozens of other highly acclaimed scientists, all fighting to find a cure. They all introduce themselves before the presentation begins. Steps forward is this tall, pale man in a well-tailored suit, professionally waiting his time to continue. The chatter dies down as he explains his presence. "If you do not know, I am Lawrence Briggs. I've been the leading scientist on this case for over 2 months now. My goal today was to bring together the brightest minds most well-equipped to be able to truly solve the mystery that is this disease. It's up to us, and I'm counting on all of you to make the greatest impact possible in the hopes to not only save the world, but even change it for the better. The presentation eventually ends and Lawrence stops Cora as she tries to sneakily make an exit. Dr. Bennett, where are you heading off to?
Oh, I'm not one for the formalities. I heard what I needed to hear and thought it'd be best for me to try to get to work on all of it. It's very great to meet you, by the way, Dr. Briggs.
Cora says before getting cut off by the doctor. Lawrence, you said you aren't one for the formalities, so let's not bother with them, he says as he holds out his hand for a shake. I've heard much about you and your success. A great mind with an extremely talented husband, I hear. I want to work with you in depth on this case. I think our minds together could really be key to finding the solution.
I mean, yes, I wasn't expecting this, but of course I would love to work with you.
They shake hands and part ways. A part of Cora was making her wonder why the great scientist picked her. Of course she was brilliant, but there were many others just as great. Eventually she has many long, sleepless nights looking for a solution alongside her new partner. They go weeks of struggling until they eventually find a hope.
Cora, this is it! I found it! This is exactly what we needed!
Lawrence exclaims, strangely out of the blue.
What? How? We've been looking at that for weeks now and nothing changed. Why now?
I don't know, but be thankful that you found it. You are going to save everyone. Before Cora could question it, Lawrence was out the door ready to tell others of his partner's success. Why did she get the credit? It didn't seem right to her. Lawrence made a new vaccination that will miraculously fight the disease without any specific help from Cora, and he gives her all the credit. It just doesn't seem right. She can tell that it's killing off the disease, but there's strange side effects. It seems far more destructive than the other vaccinations dealt with in the past. She wakes up Dion at home to have him look as well. Absolutely worn out, he hesitantly obliges.
Why do you want me to help? The scientist business is all you. That's why you're working and I'm here, complains Dion. Yes, I know, but I just want you to tell me what you think. Okay. Well, yeah, it looks like the disease is dying. That's amazing! You did it!
Dion says, starting to wake up in hopes of soon having his rightful job back.
But that's the thing. I had nothing to do with this. Lawrence starts doing an experiment without telling me and suddenly finds it and congratulates me. There's something wrong with it. You're being crazy. It doesn't matter who found it. The important thing is it's found. Be happy, Dion reassures. He comforts her and they go back to bed. But Cora still is not convinced. The next morning, Cora and Lawrence are scheduled to present their solution in front of an entire board of representatives. Meanwhile, Max at home catches a cold, but this could be more serious than ever because of the current disease in the air. Dion cannot leave the kids at home alone, so he decides to take all of the children to the hospital in order to give Max help, as well as hopefully sneak into the hearing to see any progress with the case at hand. Lawrence gives his case, hoping to get through the entire presentation without a hitch, while Cora intends to solve what's really going on. The presentation starts and Cora zones out, looking at the sample on screen. She eventually sees the issue. She calls for a recess and rushes out of the room. Lawrence is furious, asking why she would do such a thing. I can't let you put something on the market that will potentially kill people. It will do nothing of the sort. It will save all those people. Are you really going to take that away from them? We need to call off the press. She is cut off by Lawrence putting a pill in her mouth and her instantly falling asleep. Before she completely loses consciousness, she hears her now enemy say, "You should have just let it all happen. Well, either way, you would have been held responsible for the death of millions. But that isn't my problem, is it? I guess you're just going to have to be responsible from the other side." Lawrence grabs Cora and takes her away. On the other side of the vent, though, is a waiting room. In this particular waiting room waits a bored pair of siblings, Sabrina and Dex. Did you hear the same thing I did? For once in your life, you heard something correct. In the medical examination room, Dion impatiently waits for the check of his young child. He's told Max just has a normal cold most likely, but if it gets any worse, he needs to come back. He rushes out of the room with Max and meets the teenagers yelling that they need to help their mother. Dion brushes them off and pawns off Max to the kids to look after while he watches the rest of the presentation. Dion sneaks in as confused as why his wife isn't present. Back at the waiting room, the kids devise a plan to save their mother. They search the halls until they find a room closed in by a door and go to it. Dion listens to Lawrence explaining how his partner feels ill and will not be able to speak on the vaccination that she created, but will come out later to test it for him.
Dion becomes suspicious and stands to stop the presentation from continuing. Back in the hallway, the children are able to get the door unlocked and find their mother knocked out. They wake her up, but she's unable to move, so they do their best to move her. Lawrence, frustrated and wanting to get on to selling his vial vaccination, attempts to wrap up the presentation before any more questions are asked and starts to pack up his potential multi-billion-dollar product. On his way out the door, he's met with the face of his former partner and her children. "You were not supposed to be here," Lawrence says as he breaks out into a sweat. "Well, you told me we need to not only save the world, but change it. The difference between us is, I'm gonna change it for the better." Dion grabs Lawrence by the arm before he's able to do anything. Cora goes on to explain the evil events that occurred because of Lawrence and her proof that what he's selling will eventually kill millions. She then explains her desire for community growth and research, not corrupt monetary gain. She knows there's no way to cure this right now, but with all the pure and great minds together, it may soon be possible. Lawrence Briggs did not want to see the world change for the better. All change is not good change. The disease itself was a change, but not the change the world needed. The change that the world needed was love, prosperity, patience, and teamwork. With Cora at the helm, that just might be what happens.